Okay. Cool. So we should be here live.
Are you sure we're live though?
I don't know. Guess
100%. Where's your brother to
hold
confirm?
on. Let me text him.
Yeah.
Brother, where are you? Where art thou, oh brother? I think I got a text from him. Well, good. How you
Yeah.
doing, man? How was Thanksgiving?
I know it was awesome. How about you?
It
How
was
do you
good.
do?
It was good. It's fun having kids at Thanksgiving now, or a kid at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Being around family is always fun, and watching a kid and having family help take care of a kid
Yeah.
is even better. And so it was like a
Just
huge
like hands
vacation.
off for a little bit, right?
Yeah, even if it's just 5 minutes, it makes a
I know.
total difference.
I know. Do you buy anything cool on Black Friday?
Um, got some Christmas presents on Black Friday. It, didn't get them for your tips, but some of those were really good.
Yeah.
And so it definitely was some technology stuff for my brothers, and yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. Just to
Yeah,
get that.
just keep it blurred.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me is I didn't actually share on that list with the top 10 gifts for MVPs. I didn't share stuff that I actually wanted.
Oh no.
Because because I wanted to create the list for other people, not so people get ideas or that I'm asking for gifts or anything like that. So I wanted to precisely include things I already had,
Yeah.
and that's why the list is the way it is. But I actually got a couple things. So I don't know if you have one of these. And by the way, I just lost your camera. I don't know what happened. All right.
Yeah. I got to come back.
So I don't know if you've ever seen one of these things. They're made by a company called Goal Zero. They're pretty awesome. This is a Sherpa 100 PD. It's
Okay.
called. It's actually the reason why it's called 100 is because is I don't know how to describe it. I guess is 100% of what you're allowed to carry on a plane.
Oh,
Like
nice.
you cannot have anything bigger than this.
Okay.
This is most as it goes, which I really really like because I have a humongous charger, as you probably know. It's like 50,000 or 54,000 milliamp, whatever it
Yeah.
is. It's totally illegal to travel in planes. I'm not saying that it will blow up if you travel in planes, especially if you take them through a world trip and to Russia and things like that. I would never
Yeah.
do that. That's illegal. But it's good to know that I have a little power bank that is the biggest thing I can have. And the best thing is the Lenovo that I use an X1 Carbon.
Yeah.
It's charged by USB-C. So the USB-C is
Right.
the connector, and this thing charges via USB-C, 60 watts. So I can actually charge my laptop with this thing. And it's like super fast charger for phones. It's actually wireless charging. So you can put your phone on top of this thing like this and a wireless charger. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty
You're
cool. I
you're
really
just
like
a
it.
show off right now.
No. That's what I got on Black Friday. I'm just telling you. I actually got it a couple days ago, whatever. I ordered on Friday. I think it arrived on Monday or Tuesday. And yeah, I'm loving it so far. That's the one you have, huh?
Yeah. So I got the
Anchor.
Anchor.
Yeah.
Sort of classic one, the three USB ports up on the top, and one of them's
Yep.
the quick charging and stuff like that. It's not wireless charger on the top or anything like
No,
that.
I already had a wireless charger like battery bank, but it was a pretty tiny one. It's actually smaller than the phone, so you could only charge it like once or less than once, and then it would die. So
Right.
I think it's getting a lot more common. These power banks being wireless power like that. So I really like this one, just because it's the absolute biggest I can carry legally on a plane, and the fact that it can charge my laptop and it has a super rapid charger. So it's like essentially like plugging it into the wall with a iPad connector. I have an iPhone, so
Yeah.
it charges super fast. So I'm really
Do you think
excited about it.
do you think they'll ever get like a laptop that's wireless charging? Do they have that?
Probably. I don't know. The thing with laptops is that they're meant to be super mobile too. Although phones are
Yeah.
meant to be mobile too, so who knows?
But if I just had
Somebody's
like a
super pumped
desk
for
that
that.
I just like put my laptop down on, and then I
Yeah,
just charged the laptop as it was sitting there, and it was, I don't know.
I don't know. It's Black Friday is one of those days where you start thinking about like, what else do I need? What else do Because for me, it's like my laptop is a couple of years old now, and I typically want to buy a laptop like every couple of years. I never want
Yeah.
to have like a dog of a laptop. But the thing is that because I work from home, I work mainly from my desktop, which is a ridiculous computer. So I don't get to use my laptop that much. And because of that, it's even though it's like 2 years old, it's still okay for me. But man, I'm looking at that Asus ZenBook. I don't know if
I don't
you've
know if I've
looked
seen
at
that one
them.
yet.
Oh
No.
my god, dude, I want one so bad. Actually, I want to put that on my list. If one of your viewers wants to give me one of those things, I
Okay.
totally would take it. It's essentially a laptop with two screens. Like
Oh
it's
yeah, no, I have seen these.
I don't know if you've seen them.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous. They won like best notebook of 2019 or something like that. It looks super awesome. And I have to travel with like a portable monitor now whenever I know I need it,
Right.
because I will be editing videos on the go or something like that. But in a lot of cases, I don't take it with me because I don't think I need it, and then I need it, and so having a laptop that has two monitors will be huge. And it only weighs, I think, 1 more pound than my X1 Carbon. No, I think it's double. So
Yeah.
I think my X1 Carbon is like 2.5 pounds or something. It's super light, and then this one is about five something. So
Okay.
it will be a little bit heavier, but man, having those two screens will be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because it's almost, what is it, the Nintendo DS or whatever, where it had like a couple of screens on it
Exactly.
and stuff. And yeah, because it's
Exactly.
bigger
No,
than
but
like the Mac Touch Bar and stuff. You actually can do stuff with it.
it's a big screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big screen. So it's actually pretty awesome, and it's super powerful too. Like Intel Core i9 processor,
Oh
32
wow.
gigs of RAM. Like it's a super powerful laptop. So anyway, I
Do,
think it will be good for a few years. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's $3,000. Do I want to spend $3,000 on a computer that does? I mean, it's better than what I currently have, but what I currently have is pretty awesome too. I mean, the
right.
X1 Carbon was like 3,000 when I bought it, right? So it's a really
It's got a
really
little
awesome
thing.
computer. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then outside of computers, I got this thing. I want to get more into like outdoorsy stuff in 2020. So I
Okay.
got this cool knife. I don't know if just being outside the computer world,
What
so
are you
people know
doing?
that, dude. It's I want to go camping and stuff in 2020 a little bit more. So I figure I'll buy like a cool camping knife.
They
Uh,
have, you can do other that's an incredible knife.
I mean, you
It's
can
like a
behead a cow with
machete.
this thing.
Yeah.
You can behead a cow with this thing. I'm not saying
You
that it's
camp.
it's not just for camping, but I wanted a really good knife. So anyway, those are the two things that I splurged on Black Friday. I got this knife, and
Yeah.
yeah,
At that point,
the
it's called a machete, by the way.
I don't think it's a machete. It's a knife, and it's called the M18. By the way, if anyone wants to look that up, it's called by TM Hunt. The maker is TM Hunt M18. They're made by hand. They're pretty awesome. But anyway,
That
so that
is,
is what I got on Black Friday.
that's very cool.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I picked up anything for myself. Most of the stuff was we had picked it up over the years. Last year, I built the computer on Black Friday
Yeah.
that we're streaming on and stuff, and that was kind of the big one. And I guess I did pick up a monitor arm, and so that was kind of nice. So a nice monitor arm, so it looks like the screen's floating and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
We don't
yeah,
really buy a bunch of stuff on Black Friday like that. We mainly, what we like to do is book family vacations for next year. So
oh, that'd be
this year's
good
vacation we booked last year. Next year's vacation we booked this year. So
Yeah,
Cyber Monday, Black Friday, all these,
on the travel deals
resorts, whatever, what's it called, cruises and stuff.
Yep,
They all have sales.
for
So
sure.
we take advantage of that.
Nice. Yeah. The other one that I would often do is like clothes shopping, right? So that'd be my
Mm.
annual thing. And so you like go to Men's Warehouse or whatever. You can buy a collared T-shirt for $15. They
Yeah.
like 2 months before was like $100, and so you can get
I mean, I
some
do
pretty
think
good
I do
deals there.
think that in some of those cases, you have the companies that have like the same price, but then they would just put like, like something is $40. It's been
Hmm.
$40 for months, but then they'll be like, it used to be 70, and people are like, oh, I need to get one of the, they'll
It's
just add the
such a good
used
deal.
to be price
Yeah.
above it. They never modify the one at the bottom. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's why we don't like to buy a whole lot of stuff. We certainly don't go. I wish we would go, but every time I went out to like Black Friday to like
Yeah.
going to Best Buy or whatever, there were never any brawls or whatever. It was always boring. So I stopped
That
going.
was early 2000s, man. That
I
was
know, I know. Now people fight and stuff for TVs or Nintendos like idiots. I would love to see that, but all I do is just watch the YouTube videos after the fact.
after the fact.
People are super civilized here in Georgia. We gotta
Yeah.
get. Yeah, I wanna find out where these brawls happen, so at least I can see it. I'm not gonna buy anything. I just
Rugby
want to see
player.
them.
Rugby player.
That would be hilarious. But anyway, should we talk about dynamics or?
Why? Why? That's not nearly as fun as Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to transition from that. We talked about this last time. There's like, how do you transition between some of this stuff? And
Let's talk about Black Friday
let's
and how
talk
do you
about Black.
transition that
Yeah.
into
I was
Dynamics.
thinking about that though, because you don't see you'll see software for consumers. So like the B2C, there was a deal. I actually did pick that up. So I picked up, I was going through and ripping my DVDs and stuff like that and putting them up on a server type of
Yeah.
thing. And so I did pick up software, I guess, on Black Friday. But you don't see like companies like Microsoft giving like Dynamics
Yeah,
licenses
imagine
for
that.
Black Friday.
Dynamics license on Black Friday. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, you'd have everybody be waiting for that, and then you'd have all these licenses come in.
We'll just be busy in December and, generating stuff,
All
trying to
these
get
projects
everybody
going
live.
live right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it would be fun. But yeah, and you're right. Like software doesn't go on sale for like businesses like that, or at least they're on sale all year. There's no
It's true.
specific timing when they go on sale,
Yeah.
which is interesting. But yeah, the one for consumer does go on sale. I saw a huge promotion from TechSmith, so the people that make Camtasia
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
they had something like 50% off or something.
Holy
It was
cow.
pretty good. Yeah, it was really good. I use Camtasia like daily,
Oh,
so
nice.
I thought it was a good offer.
So I have to ask, since you posted on Twitter or something, so your
Hmm.
100th tip,
Yeah.
any insight into that? What can I need to pump you for information. I shouldn't preface it. Preface
No,
it
I
that way,
mean
but
the only thing I can tell you is that if you're on prem, this is not gonna be important to you. I don't know how many people watching this are on prem, but the tip will be specific for online customers.
okay.
But it's a huge, huge thing that people should know about. And it's important that people tune in. And I saw some people, subscribing to the channel ahead of time just
I
so
love it.
they see it because everyone knows that every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, a tip comes live.
Yeah.
And tip number 100 won't be an exception. So it's already recorded. It's already lined up. I contemplated releasing it this week because it's such a big, bombshell tip. So, but you know what? I'm going to hold back. I'm going to continue that tradition, especially because this one is 100th, right? So 100
Yeah.
weeks in a row, never taking a break. So yeah, so wait till Tuesday morning, but it's gonna be awesome.
I feel like I have an idea of what it is, but I'm just gonna hold that to myself and then play some side wagers and stuff like that and
Sure,
see
I'm
where
not
it
gonna
goes.
be announcing anything new like like Microsoft is discontinuing field service. No, I'm not gonna. It's not a bombshell like that. That's not what it is. But it's one of those tips that
Right.
it's for functionality or something that came out recently that most people don't even know about because it was kind of on the download, right? It was just there. It was just available, and most people don't know about it. So again, if you're online, you want to tune in on Tuesday morning, so make sure you
Okay.
mark the calendar or subscribe and get a notification.
Yeah. So put
Yeah.
down in the comments down below if you haven't watched Gus's video come next Tuesday, what you think it is, or tweet at him, and we'll see who's right.
Yeah, some people
Um,
might get it right because again, it's not a secret. It's just you have to be kind of on the inside and follow
and
the
being aware of
right
what's going
people
on.
at
Yeah.
Microsoft and whatnot to find out because it didn't receive a whole lot of fanfare, so I'm gonna make it receive fanfare. So I'm gonna make it visible.
Interesting. Now I feel like I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. We'll find out. Anyways, are
Find
you
out.
part? So the other one, I don't think I've seen you on yet. The Advent calendar that Megan Walker's doing.
I don't know. Am I part of
I
the
don't
advent
know. I
calendar?
haven't seen. We got another couple. How many days left?
There's a lot more
20
days left.
days?
No, but I mean there are a lot of MVPs, right? There's 100 MVPs or so, at least on the business application side, without counting the Power Apps guys, just the CRM guys, let's just say, and gals. So there's only 31 days. I wouldn't assume that any MVP is there or isn't there, right? So I won't spoil any surprises that may be coming on the calendar, but
Behind the
I love
doors.
the idea. I love the idea,
It was really
obviously.
cool. It was
Yeah,
really cool to
yeah,
see that. Uh,
absolutely.
and it looks like they're giving away services or something. Again, I haven't followed it too closely, but I opened up the doors and there's little people in there and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So depending on the surprise for the day, right? I think that you will see that some MVPs will release a new tool for XRM Toolbox, or somebody will
Yeah,
release
Jonas did
some
that.
white paper or whatever it is. So depending on what it is, I'm like you. I don't know who else is coming every day. You know, it's kind of a mystery for all of us the same way. We don't I don't have a master list or something or what to expect,
Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and drop
which is
that
fine.
down in the chat. So if people want to head over there and find out who has been highlighted so far, they can do that. So, well, good.
By the way, I know that the tip number 100 is for online customers only, but if we had a tip for on-premise customers, I think it would be just migrate to the cloud as soon as possible.
Okay.
We just heard from another MVP that another one of their customers who's on-prem just got hit with ransomware, and it's
Oh
not the first
wow.
time. It's been multiple times.
Yeah.
I was on a diving trip recently a few weeks ago, and somebody on the trip, they don't work with Dynamics. It wasn't for Dynamics. It was a firm, an engineering firm or something like that. I don't remember what it was. They got hit with ransomware, right? So this whole myth that on-prem is more secure than online. I mean, I don't know how much has to happen for people to realize that that's just a myth, that it
Yeah.
makes no sense. So I think that I know that there's a lot of people out there that are customers on-prem that are hanging out because, cost-wise is prohibitive. Maybe they have, 10 terabytes worth of data or something,
Hmm.
and it doesn't make sense to go to the cloud. I get that. But if you're holding back to go to the cloud because you think you're safer by having your server on a server room somewhere in your building,
Right.
and you have like a little generator that makes sure that your servers, come on, like there's no way, and I'm gonna generalize for every company out there that you can provide a better security and a better environment than Microsoft. I
Hmm.
just cannot imagine
Yeah.
any company out there, and I'm including every company, Apple, anyone that you can imagine, having a better system for data center and data storage than Microsoft. I mean, at the best, maybe they have something similar,
Yeah.
but
Like yeah.
you will never have something better. There's no chance.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they become more of a target. I mean, I'm sure they're already a target and they're already working on stuff, but as more data goes in there, I mean, the value of being able to do that is so much higher. And
I
again,
just don't know
if
how you can do that.
all those,
That's the thing. It's
yeah.
protected so ridiculously that I just don't think you can do it, because the way this ransomware works is somebody sends an email to somebody,
Hmm.
they open the link because they see like, oh, whatever, check out my poodle, and then they click on this attachment, and there you go. Now you have ransomware on your machine, and then it infects all the
Yeah.
computers and so on and so forth.
True.
That's
True.
how that works.
Yeah.
But nobody's at the data center opening files from inside the server that is
Right.
hosting your CRM Online instance. That just doesn't exist.
True.
So what are the chances of that happening? That someone somehow,
For
some
ransomware.
ninja,
Yeah.
right, goes into the Microsoft data center somehow, like Ocean's 11 style, and then finds the server where your instance is hosted, and somehow connects some USB stick or something to it, logs in by figuring out the. Come on, like not
Yeah,
even
dude,
not even the
you've seen it
movies
though.
can make it.
You've seen it though.
In movies,
One
yeah.
floppy can take down the whole world.
Yeah, no, in the movies.
Yeah,
That's true.
you remember
Yes,
that
if you
back
watch
in?
Swordfish, yeah, yeah, for sure. Like those movies will show you that people can change everything and hack into the mainframe or whatever. But come on, it's just unrealistic. That's just not possible. So yeah, this whole myth that on-prem is more secure than online is just
Yeah,
total ridiculousness.
it
I
was
mean,
interesting. I was
makes
at the Power Platform in Portland, the World Tour, and there was a bank there, and
Mhm.
they were online. At least for
Absolutely.
some of their services, and they were making power apps and all that kind of stuff. And I was very surprised because when I was asking him, and he couldn't log into to something, I was like, "Oh, so you guys are locked down on all this stuff?" He's like, "Yeah, we work for a bank, and we can't access any of this external stuff." And so they did an awesome job. I mean, they really did. They leveraged sort
Yeah.
of the way Microsoft does it, and hey, you can access our environment, but you can't even access like a trial environment or anything like that. And so
Yeah, you can
there's
secure this thing to the wazoo. I mean,
yeah.
it's awesome.
It's
But
cool.
yeah, it's funny. Sometimes you talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to go online." Like, look at these examples. Like they just hacked Experian and they hacked, Target and they
Yeah.
hacked Bank of America. Yes, I know all those companies are on-prem though.
Hmm.
That's a reason to go online. Is these companies that are on-prem are getting hacked.
Yeah.
These other companies that are on-prem are getting ransomware and paying hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get their files unencrypted. Like, come on, man. Like it's
Yeah.
just whatever. Like and we don't. I wasn't expecting us to talk for 10 minutes about this, but
Why
I'm just
not? This
saying.
is what we do.
I found out pretty recently that another large customer was hit with ransomware,
Yeah.
and obviously this is not a Dynamics issue. Now their whole infrastructure
Right.
is down, so I think it's a little bit misleading for me to say that if you go online, your systems are going to be safe because you could be in CRM Online and then somebody still
Yep.
infiltrates your local PCs and whatever and
Yep.
can wreak havoc. But it's not going to affect your business applications and your kind of business line systems the way it will be
Yeah.
affected by being on-prem.
Right. And that
Yeah,
and it's interesting because if you hack somebody's laptop and you lock somebody's laptop out, they can still what you can do is sequester that laptop, right? And you can figure it out and stuff like that.
that's right.
But you can still buy a new laptop, go to Best Buy or whatever, Amazon, insert retailer, and you can be up and running, right?
Format the laptop, right? Just wipe
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah, I
Fill it
think
up
it's a
with
little more than that,
zeros.
but yeah.
No, you fill it up with zeros. I mean, there's software that will fill your entire hard drive with zeros because
Yeah.
when you format or delete something out of the box, it's just you're just saying that this hard drive is good to be used. But you can wipe out a laptop in a way that
Actually.
you can delete the ransomware. But again, if you have everything on the cloud, if your Exchange is
Hmm.
online, if your Active Directory is Azure Active Directory, Dynamics is online, everything is online. You wipe out the laptop, install the software, connect back to your online services, and you're good to go
Right.
again.
Yeah.
Or even if you have to buy a new laptop and throw this one
Exactly.
into a river, like
But that
okay, whatever,
Yeah, but taking
you're
it
still
takes
good to
time to
go.
like replace the drive and stuff like that, right? But as soon as you
Yeah,
find out, get rid of that laptop essentially, and then go buy one, and you're back up and running within however long it takes to
absolutely,
buy a laptop and boot it, right?
absolutely.
And so just how quickly that can be done online versus on premise,
Yeah,
because like you said, the database and the business applications are separate from what got infected. So
that's right.
yeah, no, it's good, man. It's neat.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to touch base on with you, I saw earlier this week. I think it's Sales Spark.
Mm.
Mark Smith and Scott Duro. Is that how you say his name?
Yep. Duro.
Um,
Yep.
and then I guess some other people. Anyways, it was neat. Sort of. I saw the announcement as I was at a Power Platform World Tour thing, and was sitting in a PCF control or PCF demo type of thing. And it was Greg Hurlman, who's actually with the Microsoft product team, showing, hey, you can build out your own controls and you can do this, that, and the other, and this is how you do it. And of course, I didn't understand the code he was showing, but I understood the
Yeah.
concepts that he was going through and why you would do it and how you would do it and the variables and all that kind of stuff. But as I was going through that, I noticed that Scott published a blog and showed some of the PCF controls that he had built and that are in Sales
Yep.
Sparks, and it blew my mind because it really is. I mean, Scott or Mark's been talking about this for a while, but it really is going to change the landscape in the Dynamics practice because no longer is if you're a Dynamics consultant or a partner, you're no longer just competing against Salesforce or another Dynamics partner, and that Dynamics partner does waterfall and you do agile, and so that's what differentiates you. Is your project methodology. Now it's going to be the product that you come with, and it's no longer,
Yeah.
hey, you're
VIP
selling
for sure.
sales and I'm selling sales. We're differentiating on to something else.
Yeah.
But it really is going to be this product and the IP, like you said. And so it'll be interesting to see as things come out, whether there's niche industry ones or whether it's a whole stack like they've often alluded to competing.
For sure.
So yeah, I don't know. What are your
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts?
I thought that they've done a great job, and obviously they are being led by John Gravely, who is
I don't know,
serial
John.
entrepreneur in the
Okay.
Dynamics Dynamics, I guess, partner channel. John Gravely started C360, who was a Dynamics 365 partner. I think they got acquired by another company, but he was a successful partner. He sold it to someone else who actually used to own the company I used to work for when I started working with
Oh,
Dynamics
no
years
way.
and years and years ago. Yeah, so they bought C360, And then from there, he started Click Dimensions, and then he sold
Oh,
Click
nice.
Dimensions, right? A
Yeah.
couple of years ago, and now he's been pretty dormant, and everybody was kind of waiting to see what John Gravely was going to do next. Was he going to retire, or was he going to start something else? And I guess now we have the answer, right? We know that what he was planning to start was Cell Spark. Now, John Gravely obviously partnered up with super smart people, right?
Hmm.
Scott Duro, I consider to be probably in the top three best developers in the planet, right? For
Yeah.
Dynamics 365. I mean, that's what you see in the wow factor that you get from CellSpark, you get because Scott Duro is involved. Now, Scott probably didn't make all the decisions that are in that product, right? You
Right.
have John Gravely, you have Mark Smith involved as well. So, they worked as a team to do it, but I think Scott was the main reason why that product looks so sharp on version 1,
Right.
right? The fact that you see it for the first time and you're like, wow, this thing is so impressive, right? It
Yeah.
looks really, really good. It's because they have such amazing talent. I'm excited for them. I think that that's where the industry's going. I think that the freedom that we got from Microsoft by having these $10 licenses is tremendous, right? The
Yeah.
fact that I can create, like, today I was talking to somebody who works for a CPA firm, and they were like, "Oh, do you know any, like, dynamics for CPAs or whatever that are out there?" And it's like, "How many accounts do you have?" And it's like, "Oh, it's a family business, like me, my dad, my grandfather is
Yeah.
also a CPA, so it's like four of us or something like that." I'm like, "No," because every single firm out there will
Yep.
be hundreds of thousands or whatever of dollars,
Yep.
whereas now you have a business model like SalesPark, which might come out and say, look, you can pay us $20, right?
Hmm.
The license is 10. We'll charge you 10 for the IP on top of it, and you'll have five people on that, and
Yep.
then the next person will have 10, and the next person will have three, and so on.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you have 5,000 users,
Yep.
10,000 users, 50,000 users, and if you're making $10 a month from 50,000 users, that's a lot of money, right?
Right.
So the idea is to create this IP that is going to cost you a lot of money and time up front.
Right.
So you're going to have to invest
Yep.
that money up front. But once you have it, the idea is that you make a little bit from a lot of people,
Yeah. The
right,
volume.
coming
Yep.
through it. Yeah, and you gain the volume. So that is the idea, right? Not every company out there has six figures to create the type of functionality that they have created, but they do have $20 per user per month. So it's a great business model. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Obviously, like anything you think about, you will say, like,
Yeah.
okay, I like going to the gym. I'm gonna create a PC, PCF control, whatever power app, powered by PCF solution, and I'm gonna sell it for $20 a month, and then I'm gonna sell it to every gym in America, right? How many employees are in a gym that would actually use an application? I don't know, let's say five on average. Not everybody who works at a gym. There's people who clean the floors and whatever. Like, they're not gonna be using Dynamics or this app, but the salespeople can, right? The reception, like, let's say on average five. How many gyms are in the country, right?
Hmm.
There's thousands and thousands and thousands of them. So by laser focusing on an industry the way they've done,
Yeah.
and I understand that they're not on a vertical, they're on sales, right?
Right.
But everyone is selling something. So
Right.
it's kind of a vertical. But can Sales Park, have Service Park coming up, right? Can
Sure.
a company coming with Service Park,
Yeah.
Field Service Park? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can build all these applications and really onboard somebody. Go out there and say, you don't need to invest $100,000, 200,000, 300,000 on a field service solution.
Right.
Just, I already made it. Just buy it from me.
Yeah.
It's $30 a month.
And that
Whatever.
ability just to go in and turn it on, right? And so it's that plug
Yeah,
and play. People are used to that. That's what people
absolutely.
were doing on their phone, on their apps, on their computers, on whatever. And they're buying a product and then they're consuming it, right? So Netflix, right? It's $6, $7 or $10, whatever it is now, right? So you
Yeah,
subscribe to it and then you just keep subscribing and you don't have to worry about
forever
it,
and
right?
ever.
You works,
once
you
you
gets it
once
done
you
when you
load
need to.
all your data and you're using all the functionality and you're printing stuff and emailing things and whatever, when are you
You
going to
just
get off
roll.
of that? When your
Yeah.
business ends, I guess. Like, you're not going to just swapped
Yeah.
to some other solution, like, and it happens to a lot of us. You
Yep.
mentioned Netflix is a good example. But you're not switching from Netflix to Disney Plus and then back to Netflix, like, constantly.
Right.
Maybe you get them too, but you're not going to be switching back and forward. So
Yeah.
that
And
same CPA I was talking to, the guy asked me, he's like, "Oh, I know that you do CRM, but what do you think about Carbon?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what Carbon is." And he's
right.
like, "Oh, it's a CRM just for CPAs." I'm like, that sounds awesome. Like
That sounds like what you need.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what a company like SalesSpark is doing. Is creating a CRM for
Right.
sales in that case.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited about other companies trying that too.
And what would be interesting is that scalability, right? Because if you get because some of those are really good for like, okay, you're a small company and it can only get you so far, right? That's why a lot of people
Right.
go from QuickBooks to something else, is because you can't have more than 5 users in it or whatever it is. I don't know what it is for QuickBooks. And so when you get to a certain point, you kind of hit that critical mass and hey, it doesn't do this. But being on the
Right.
Dynamics platform and being connected to CDS, I mean, I mean, it can support these huge companies and it can support the small companies. And
That's
as
right.
you grow, it can grow. And if you need to graduate to something larger, I mean, again, I don't know if you need to, if it's doing what you need it to do. But if you do, just go out and have those couple
Yeah.
of people get the sales license or something. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think it's the SalesSpark is going to also struggle with the same thing Dynamics and their sales application struggles with, which is a lot of companies don't sell that way, exactly that
Right.
way. Like it
Right.
might be
Still got to
better, like
extend.
quote unquote, better than the primary app because they have solved some problems and added
Yep.
some functionality that we just don't have on the primary app. But I don't think companies will go out there and just see that and be like, that's exactly the way we do it and we don't need anything else, right?
True.
There's always going to be
A little bit.
customizations and stuff on top of it. So, we'll see how it goes. But I was excited to see the announcement, and they have something really good going on.
Yeah, and again, in some ways, I feel like this is a free sales park demo or a pitch or whatever.
Right.
Um,
We don't. Yeah, and we should make this
yeah,
clear that this is not sponsored by SalesPark, or I don't think they even know or want us talking about SalesPark.
they're like, please
Uh,
don't talk about it, please. You
Exactly.
two can
Yeah,
just be
they should
quietly over
they should be
there.
paying us not to talk about them.
Yeah,
But
but
no, this is they haven't approached us or anything to talk about.
yeah,
This is just us talking about what we think.
yeah,
Yeah.
just seeing sort of the impacts it's going to have to the Dynamics sort of industry and the culture around it, and just the potential again. I think for industries is just huge. I think it's going to
Hmm.
be such a game changer. And I was talking to my wife, and uh, she's a nurse, and so when you talk to other people, you got to explain it differently. And I was like, it's like people that built Legos, right? So they built Legos, and then they gave it out to these master builders, and they built like these forts. And then they said, okay, here's how you build the fort, and you can extend it, but you really can't do a lot with the actual Legos, right? So we glued these couple of Legos together, right? And
Yeah.
that's how we got the cone of the tower, right? And so you really can't do anything there. And then recently with the Power Platform, they said, you know what? Legos, here's all the Legos. Anybody can do anything with any of the Legos you want. So you want to go build a different colored fort or whatever? Awesome, go do
Yeah.
that. If you want to do, if you want to make a boat, go build a boat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can build anything with these Legos, and now you're not just focused on you have a fort, you have to build within this fort. You can build a moat, and you can kind of build a longer bridge, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so it just
The
really
other
is. Yeah.
interesting, yeah, the other interesting thing about solutions like that is that in their case, for example, they're clearly going for new market, maybe
Sure.
market that would not even consider Dynamics because they can't afford or they don't want to build
The barrier
something
to
for
entry. Yeah.
themselves. Because anyone who's already out there that already paid to build their own app is not just going to switch
True.
to SalesPark, right?
True.
This is not one of those where you can go and convince existing customers to go and switch to you. This is a brand new customer Salesforce that, for a customer from
Right.
another product kind of thing. So it's a different approach to something like Click Dimensions where it was an add-on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a brand new customer or an existing customer, we can append to it and then give you a lot more functionality. So it's a different approach what John is doing here, but he has a ton of experience, so he knows what
Yeah,
he's
it'll
doing.
be interesting because you could, in theory, do it to a separate environment, and so a different
Hmm.
department. Each department could, one department could use it, and another one wouldn't have to, right?
I
And
guess
so,
so, yeah.
yeah,
But the way I see it more as a play for brand new customers,
yeah,
which is fine, especially if it's cheap and it can attract people that would never consider the Power Platform or Dynamics to begin with.
yeah,
Because yeah, the Power Platform, license can be $10, but if it costs you $500,000 to create what you can get with a solution like that already, then you're still gonna pass on it. So
yeah,
even if it's $10, you still have to pay a lot of money to get that functionality. So
right.
if you can get it really quick, then that's a huge advantage. So we'll
Yep.
see how it plays out. It's super new. So
Yeah, and the other part of that is the PCF gallery, PCF components, right? And that's kind of what started that. Have you seen the PCF gallery website? You should.
not yet. No.
Okay, I'll drop it in the chat and stuff so you can check it out later. But it's essentially a gallery, and I forget who is. I'm gonna say the guy's name wrong, but Guido
Yeah.
Pache. I can't say his last name.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a bunch of PCF controls that are just on the website, and you can download them and upload them, type of thing. So he's got some like address verification, export to Excel if you're using a Canvas app. So that
Yeah.
ability to drop in a button right there.
Yeah, Guido does a lot of really, really amazing stuff. He has that. He has the newsletter, which a lot of people in the industry subscribe
Yeah,
to. So he
it's
runs that
solid.
newsletter as well. I think his handle is CRM Answers. I might be wrong about
Yeah,
that, but I think it's CRM Answers.
I assume it is because CRM Answers just replied, yes, that's correct. So in chat.
There you go.
So
So Guido, if you're watching, isn't it like, what is it, like 5 a.m. where you're at? I think he lives in Bologna,
oh yeah,
Italy. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So
Early bird gets the worm. Yep, it's him. Is what it said. So
yeah, so thanks for tuning in. But no, I mean he's been killing it, and Guido is one of those people that whenever he comments, I gotta tune in and read it because he has a ton of experience and he's worked all over the place. He lived in China. I mean,
that's cool.
if you don't follow Guido, you need to get on that train because the guy's legit.
So apparently it's 1 p.m. He's in China right now. So it's 1
there
p.m.
you go. It's back in China.
Yeah, he must be doing the Silverlight stuff for you over there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So-
Checking on the Silverlight practice.
But no, these and that's what's going to be incredible is these controls that you can just go out and download, right? And so it's no longer my back end developers have to develop something or
Yeah.
and
Plug and play, right?
yeah, that plug and play
Get it,
ability
put it in. It's awesome.
is just fantastic. And huge shout out to somebody for putting all this together and helping the community just sort of aggregate this, because that's the hardest part is with some of it. I mean, this is why the XRM toolbox is so good, right? Because all the
Yeah.
controls sort of flow into one and then they're able to be deployed.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so
Guido should be an MVP. Wait, no, he's an MVP
Is he?
already.
I thought he was.
He's been an MVP for maybe longer than me. I don't know. He's been for years and years. I don't know. How many times, Guido? I
Yeah.
have 8. So he has something about that
There you
number. Probably 7, 8, 9. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got a date range picker, which is really cool, right? So it's always like the start end dates, and so being able to just use a calendar like everywhere else
Yeah.
you do, and just do a calendar for it.
Right.
So that's really cool.
Nice.
Anyway, so no, those are a couple of things that just came up this past week, and just yeah, it's just been interesting and just fun watching sort of what's going on in the industry, how it's changing, and how people, when they focus on it, whether it's an industry or whatever, just take it and run with it, and it's just
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You did get back. It's definitely you've definitely done it longer. He's only been 5 years.
Okay. Well, he's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And are there any other questions, by the way? Do we have anybody else watching, asking questions?
That's the only question that's come in so far.
Tell us what you bought on Black Friday, so I'm not the only one.
I bought software. I didn't go out and buy a huge, ginormous knife.
Yeah.
Or machete, as it's called other places outside of Georgia.
It's not a machete. Stop it.
But no, it's good. What else is going on? I'm trying to think what else is going on with the community. We had a good Power Platform event. Chuck Sterling came down and presented the
nice.
keynote, and it's just the excitement around the platform has been really cool. Had a lot more people in
Sure.
the Power Apps and the Power Automate stuff.
Yes.
And I got a chance to see newly MVP'd Ed Gonzalez, and so he
Yes.
presented on the virtual agent, which was pretty
Ed was there.
really cool. I don't know when
Now,
that guy
I don't
works,
know.
man.
I don't know if Ed is now more of a flow guy. I feel like he's doing a lot more with Power Automate than Dynamics these days. When I met Ed, he was full on Dynamics
Oh, was he
CRM,
really?
Dynamics 365. Oh yeah, and now I feel that he's doing a lot more with Power Automate, which
Yep.
is great. Like we need more people like that. I think So I also recorded tip 101, and tip 101 will be Power Automate. So it will be a Power Automate tip, and I think
Okay.
it might be my first one because
Oh,
I've been so focused in Dynamics and I haven't really ventured into other things.
turn
But
into the dark
you
side.
you it's not the dark side. It's also the light side. But like I said, there are things that you can do with Power Automate that you can do with workflows
Yeah.
and vice versa. So I think tip number 102 will be back to workflows. So we'll see. We'll
Okay.
mix it up. But yeah, so that's another exclusive. Look out for 101 for a really nice, cool trick and flow.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
it's because I remember probably a year ago when it was still new. You were still like, no, man, well, everything's in workflow still. I'm never gonna touch Flow, Power Automate. But now when they
Well,
changed the
no,
name, you're on board.
I mean, I'm still using a ton of workflows today. I'm using Flow for sure, but I'm using a ton of workflows because of that whole real time thing. Like it's just,
You finally get there. Yeah.
if I want to stop somebody from closing an opportunity as one, unless they have manager's approval or something, you just can't do that with Flow. There's
Right.
no chance. So there are things that today you can do with Flow, and
So,
whenever Flow can start doing that, then I'll for sure jump in.
is there things that you need to do with workflows that you couldn't do with business rules? So if you wanted to prevent somebody from saving a record or something like that, can you throw errors with business rules and prevent them from closing that record if they need the approval or something?
I guess so.
I'm trying to think
I,
of.
I guess you could, but business rules only work, within that same kind of
True.
entity.
Yeah.
Whereas with
Agreed.
workflows, I
Yeah.
can go in and
Go
check
across. Yeah.
conditions and separate things.
Yeah.
So,
That's the missing part.
um, yeah, and yeah, I mean, I guess it's not the same behavior with workflows. You get a pop-up,
True.
which I really like. I really like a pop-up, and because
Right in your
you're
face.
using the workflow assistant, you can add dynamic values to the error.
True.
So it would say something like, "Hey Seth, you can do blah blah blah." It's pretty cool.
It's most of the
Um,
errors I get.
yeah, and then you get you get a pop up, right, that you have to hit OK, and it I like that behavior.
Yeah.
Whereas an error in business rule, it puts like a little
It's
X or
constrained.
something
Yeah.
right above it. It's not as in your face
Yeah.
as workflow errors.
Yeah. It was interesting. I know I'm changing the topic a little. Was on a meeting today with the Portal Connector guys, and
Okay.
so they do some really neat stuff, man. Especially when it comes to the e-commerce.
Yes.
It's really slick. Their integrations. I looked at it and they'd spent a couple of days on it, maybe if that, and just it looked like a full blown website. And I was super impressed. I mean,
I
um,
like
yeah.
I like the fact that some of those portal companies decided to stay and
Hmm.
have been able to survive. I like the competition. I mean, the only way you can compete is if you're filling a void in the market, right?
Yeah.
You're filling a gap, and I think that some of the recent changes to licensing when it comes to
Exactly.
portals
Yep.
open up a massive gap in the market. So,
Yep. That was one of the
companies
reasons.
like yeah, companies like the Portal Connector will start resurfacing, and I mentioned this in one of the latest podcasts. I was talking to Nick Hayduk about licensing and Portal licensing specifically,
Yeah.
and I asked, "Do you think that another ADX Studio is coming now?" Because some of these changes are terrible for some companies. Like they go from paying a flat fee of
Yep.
$500 a month to paying $2 for every time somebody decides to log in,
Right.
and that's not something you can control because you're inviting all your customers. So yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder if another company like Portal Connector will come out and do that. And I think companies that decide to stick it to the end, win in some cases. Some cases
Yeah.
they don't, but I think they will be ones that will benefit from it. Kind of like what happened to the guys at Resco, right? When
Hmm.
Microsoft announced they were coming with a mobile client and they announced a partnership with CWR Mobility and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
I remember that was
And
a long time ago.
Resco decided to stay. And I told this. Well, I didn't tell the story. Ivan from Resco told this story where they were at a extreme event, I believe, and they were CWR Mobility, the 10 digits people, and Resco. And at that event, Microsoft announced their partnership with CWR Mobility, and he said two things happened. Number one, everybody started stopping by our booth and being like, I'm sorry, you didn't have to end like this.
Right.
Everybody's like feeling sad about them,
Yeah.
and telling them, like, don't worry, you'll find something else to do. Like, you're
You'll
done,
you'll
but
find another job. It was good
yeah,
meeting
yeah,
you.
yeah. I'll buy
So we
you a
can feed the
beer.
kids this week.
Don't worry about it. And he said the second thing that happened is that the 10 digits people picked up their booth and left. And it was like
Holy
at the
cow.
keynote. Yeah, it was at the keynote, right?
Yeah.
So at the keynote, event's just starting, first thing in the morning for the
Yep.
event, and then they announced that partnership, and the people from 10 digits just picked up their booth and left. It's like, all right, it's over. Pick up
Yeah.
the booth and left. And then
Wow.
Resco stuck around. They kept on focusing, laser focusing on producing better and better functionality
Yep.
over and over and over again. And then they ended up buying CWR Mobility, right? So eventually, and they became the standard for field service. Their
I didn't realize that.
application,
Okay.
yeah, their application is the application that the
Yeah.
REST mobile client is used for field service. And I mean, the guys are the name in the game when it comes to mobility. And I think Portal Connector could do something similar, and they've stuck around, and maybe they'll be able to, kind of revamp their practice due to the changes that Microsoft made recently.
Yeah. Two reasons that we really strongly considered them was, one, they had an e-commerce play, which is
Yep.
incredible, and then two was the pricing. I mean, pricing kind of came second, but there was nothing for the e-commerce stuff, at least not a strong story for the Microsoft portal. And
Yeah,
then
I
when
mean,
we
every
looked at
time
pricing for logins, it was
Yeah,
no doubt.
every time you have you have a variable price, the
Hmm.
ability for a variable price, and that variable price can depend a lot in swings.
Yeah.
Because I get it, like water, electricity, stuff like that is variable. You don't pay the same bill in electricity
Right.
every month. Like it goes up and down, and depending on winter and summer, like it goes
Yep.
up and down too. But you kind of expect it. You expect the range. Like if you pay $200 a month, whatever, $100 a month, I don't know, whatever it is at your house, but if you pay that, you know that it's going to go a little bit higher and a little bit lower, and that's kind of your average. But
Yeah.
when it comes to portals and paying per login, it's really out there. Like you have no idea. Now you can start counting your logins and then hopefully sort of maybe expect
So
that you're going to keep
yeah.
those numbers every month, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think the other part of that, though, the flip side of that, because you're talking about consumption, right? And that's the way Microsoft's going, is this consumption model. But it's
Right.
also this concept of, what is, did you see value out of the login, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So if they're going to pay for, if they're going to buy $100 worth of stuff from me, and it only cost them $2, right? So now I'm making $98, right? That's part of the cost of doing that business and that transaction, right? And so
That's
that's
right.
the e-commerce side, right? So if you had e-commerce, then that becomes, hey, every order that we receive, it cost us X number of dollars, right? And so that's part of the cost that you can bake into the products and stuff, because you're generating revenue. It's when you do case deferment and do the case management, which is really a lot of what the sales stuff, or the portal stuff is.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that cost to maybe have deferred a case as part of that? So
Yeah, and if
yeah,
you're charging $2 per login, how many times will somebody log in from the first time when they're entering a case until the time is resolved?
right.
I guess it all depends. It all depends on the company and whatnot, but I would assume that I don't know, two, three, four logins per case on average.
Mm-hmm.
People will log in to
Easy.
start it, and then they'll log in to follow up. They'll log in when it's resolved or something like
Potentially,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you're paying $6, $8, $10, depending on the person, like sometimes and you see it with tickets with Microsoft, you have customers too. How many times do you log in until a case is resolved? In some
Refresh. Are you
cases, like
done? Have you
20,
updated?
30.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you gonna pay $60? Every
Yeah.
ticket that a customer opens, it's
The
just
value would have to be there,
the
right?
uncertainty
Yeah.
is so complicated. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's harder with the case customer service stuff, is that conversation of how many people do you have logging in? I mean, because the knowledge management stuff, I don't think you have to put it behind a portal or put it behind authentication. So if you're doing knowledge
Yeah,
base stuff, that can go out there,
put
and
it
that's
on your
gonna,
website. Yeah.
yeah, and that's going to be a flat rate, which is doable. But as soon as you start having people come in and log in, you really have to start counting the value. Okay, what's the value that they're receiving
Yeah.
from this login? And there's going to be ways to not necessarily get around it, but there's going to be less put behind an authentication at that point.
Absolutely.
So it looks like CRM Answers. He was at Extreme 2012 Berlin at the Resco booth. There was Ivan Stano.
Yep. I
That
understand.
after
Right.
I will become the CEO of the company.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a cool story. The Resco guys is it's a story of winning and kind of sticking around and not giving up. You know, I'm not, like a diehard Resco fan or
no,
whatever. I've used their product just like I've used a bunch of other products online. I think they do a really good thing. I think they're a really good fit for some things and a really awful fit for other things.
right.
But yeah, I mean their story as a company is it's a really cool one that we all can learn from if you run
Right.
practices or if you work for companies and you have some kind of ownership on them. Is it's learning how not to give up and to keep on just focusing on your thing and
Yep.
kind of ignore the things you cannot control. It's a really good lesson for all of us
Yeah, and the other part of that is whenever I interact with them, they were very responsive. Their customer service was great, and they also the other
because
thing
they
that
can
was
control that,
right,
right?
they can control that, and they
That's right.
also you would look at their connectors, and they would have connectors outside of the Microsoft stack, right, and so they
Hmm.
diversified around that, and so their platform became more to other people. And so there was an
That's right.
opportunity to really sort of branch out, get that value in other ways. And then you still see that it's being used, right? So I think it's still being used for the field service stuff. And so even though
Absolutely.
Microsoft has these other apps and the Power Apps and stuff,
And
they have
they
yet to
just
get the parity
renewed.
with that.
They just renewed
Yeah,
like last year or something like that. They renewed their partnership with Resco, right, for I don't know how many years to come. So,
like 3 to 5 or
um,
something like that. It was. I was
yeah,
surprised at how long it was. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, they have resolved something that it would take Microsoft a lot of money to resolve for little gain, probably. So,
yeah,
I think that by luck, because they used to work with Field Service,
yeah.
or with Field One rather, and then Microsoft
Right.
acquired Field One. It was kind of like a forced partnership that ended up working great. So,
Yeah.
good for them.
No, it is. It has been good to watch that, and um, it was interesting. So I don't know, because Field One and Adoxio, uh, ADX Studios,
Yes.
they got acquired within the same year, wasn't it? I mean, it was like it was pretty quick. I felt like,
I don't remember. I
yeah.
think Field One was acquired the same year that some of the other acquisitions happened,
Oh,
with like Marketing Pilot and
was
what
it?
was the other
It
one?
starts with a
Started
P.
with Parature, right?
Parachair, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think all of those happen at the same time. I don't remember Field One and ADX Studio happening at the same time or
Okay,
in the same year. I think ADX Studio happened later, like a year or two later. So,
okay.
but yeah, and at the same time, I haven't heard any like big announcements when it comes to acquisitions from Microsoft too. Like it used to be like every year, like there was here
Picking
comes another
somebody up.
company, and here comes another company. But they have slowed down on that, which is it's interesting. And the team is working on their own functionality. We see it with Forms Pro. They didn't go
Hmm.
and buy some other company that did something similar. So it's cool. I like to see that they're investing in their own stuff.
Yeah, and it's going back to the concept of building your. They build tools. They don't build products, right? And
That's right.
so again, the LinkedIn acquisition made sense. And again, you can argue whether it made sense to do it, and have we seen the value of it yet? But that was really so. All those acquisitions were to support one of the first party apps, and so you
That's right.
acquired Field One to create Field Service, right? And so that was not a thing in Microsoft, so they built a market around that. But they were able
Yeah.
to leverage that with their Azure stuff, right? And so they already had sort of this back end. Hey, we have this robust thing that can do the scheduling and the routing and all this kind of other stuff, but we don't have sort of the front end stuff. Okay, let's pick that up and bring it in. But yeah,
Yeah.
who was it we were talking to? But they were surprised they didn't pick up like Click Dimensions or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
mean, I think that I don't
they
know
built
what
their own
happened. I
marketing
mean,
stuff. Yeah.
it
Okay.
would be it would be great if one day I learned that story, but I always thought that it was interesting that they wouldn't go for a company like Click Dimensions because
Right.
Click Dimensions was built on top of Dynamics and Azure,
Yeah.
right? They weren't built in some other company system or whatever. It wasn't like a separate thing the way Marketing Pilot was. So it was kind of like when they acquired that, it made no sense.
Right.
Just like the Field One thing made sense because it was built in Dynamics,
Right.
right? If they passed on Field One to buy a company that runs their own field service in a separate software,
Right.
then I would still be like I was with Click Dimensions. Like, why? Why
Yeah.
would they do
Right.
that?
There's one right there. Yeah.
But obviously, these guys making these acquisitions make a lot more money than us combined. So they,
Yeah.
they know
There's a reason
something
for
we
it.
don't know, right?
Yeah. But it,
Um,
but it goes back to the concept of you haven't seen anybody else acquired since sort of, again, maybe Field 1 was the last one, or ADX Studios or whatever was the last one that's been acquired. And then they got what was it, GitHub that they acquired. And so they've done some of these other
yeah,
tools,
but not for Dynamics. They
not for
were just
Dynamics, right?
by Microsoft. Yeah.
Right. And so they're focusing on doing tool building items, right? And so I think it had an integration with Azure DevOps.
All right.
Maybe
I
GitHub.
think the GitHub stuff was more about sticking to their core value of empowering organizations to achieve more, right?
Right.
That's what they're trying to
Right.
do. So I think GitHub, in a sense, does that. It empowers individuals
Yep.
to create their own tools and share them, right? And
Exactly.
do more.
Right.
So I think it's a smart thing. Like, I don't know if it's worth 8 billion or whatever they paid for it, but just like LinkedIn was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But then Salesforce bought
Tableau.
yeah, Tableau for 40 something billion or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So Salesforce certainly hasn't slowed down making these acquisitions. Microsoft has, and who knows? Who know why one doesn't? Why, I don't know. Like, I just noticed that Tableau acquisition was huge, and I recorded a video talking about how it didn't make any sense to me at all. And now, Bob Stutz, the guy that went from Microsoft to Salesforce to help them
Yep.
build that, engine, business intelligence and stuff, he left and he went back to IBM. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on over there, but it's interesting to see it.
Yeah, and it's been interesting living in Seattle because they're going to build their second headquarters up here. Salesforce is after the Tableau acquisition, so we don't need more people in Seattle. We already had what was it? Forbits come here, Amazon's here, Zillow, Microsoft, obviously, and so it's running out of space, man. There's water on either side. There's only so much space you can build around this stuff. So,
but in the good news is that your property is going up, right?
if I could afford to buy property, yes,
the
it would
value.
go
So
way
you
up.
have to, you just have to sell that and go to like Idaho or something, and you'll be like the richest person in town. It will be great.
Yeah, exactly.
Because your property is going up so high. But you're right. Like, Seattle seems to be a little overpopulated. I'm looking forward to going there in March though for the MVP summit.
Oh, that's right. You're coming out. Oh, that'll be
That's
nice.
gonna be great. Yeah. So it's there are a few weeks between February and March that are gonna be pretty busy. I'm excited about it because I'm not traveling a whole lot, and we talked about this on the last episode. So I have the Scottish Summit, which is in Glasgow, and then we have a week in between. But I'm staying on that side of the world, and then I'm going to the Extreme in Barcelona, and then from there I go to Seattle. So for several weeks in a row, I'll be kind of busy with events, which is really exciting. I love connecting with people in person and doing sessions and answering questions and that kind of thing. So, that's why we're jumping on these streams every couple of weeks, and catching up and be able to answer questions. I'm glad we have some people watching, asking questions, and fire up.
There were some guys over in the UK that were like, he's like, this is great. I catch afterwards, but I can't watch the live one because it's 4 a.m. And so maybe we'll have to change up the time a little and make it work a little easier. So
yeah, exactly. We'll just do a UK after dark, which will be like 3 p.m. here.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect time to get started. So
yeah,
no, we'll have to figure that out. I know I was doing the Saturday stuff there for a while in the morning, and I guess that would be after dark for them. But it's a little
Saturday afternoon. Everyone's drunk, so no one is tuning in. Well, because you did it at like 8 or 9 a.m. or something on your site, which is like 6 or 7 p.m. in
it was
England.
perfect time.
Come on.
Yeah, they would
Everyone's at the top, at the pub.
Yeah, they would put it on the pub they would put the show on at the pub and just sit there and hang out, right?
Sure, yeah.
I bet. Totally happened then. So the Scottish Summit is incredible. They have 500 plus already.
So excited. Yeah, I think they capped it at 500 and it sold out within like an hour or something.
That's incredible.
It was unbelievable. For me, I've tried to put events in the past together. I was successful with the event in Atlanta, maybe because I'm in Atlanta, and it was I was able to focus in the local market and promote it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've tried twice to put together an event in Texas, for example, which we don't have a whole lot of. We don't have. I don't think there's any MVP in Texas to begin
Really?
with. I've tried to put Austin together
Hmm.
or Dallas or whatever, and it's always been pretty tough. Like when you don't live there to promote it locally, it's just tough. You're depending
Yeah.
on other people to tell. And and we have Larry Lentz. He lives in San Antonio, so
Okay.
Larry was trying to promote the event from San Antonio. San Antonio is not Austin, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
he's trying to help, but he's also long distance in a sense.
Right.
And it's just really, really complicated. So for them to be able to put something in Scotland like that and have it sold out, 500 people just right away, that's very impressive. And if have you seen the lineup of speakers? I mean,
I
it's
haven't. No, I haven't gone.
incredible,
I haven't scrolled through it. Um,
incredible. Yeah, it's really, really awesome to see. So um, I'm excited about going there. I've never been to Scotland, so I have Scotland and Wales to check off my list to cover the whole UK. So hopefully we get to. I don't know if we're gonna get to go to Wales, but that will be only one. And I want to go to Isle of Man. They don't have any speed limits there. So I just want to be at a place where there's no speed limits for some reason.
oh, I thought you said spit limits. I was like, what the heck is a spit limit? So speed limit. Okay.
Yeah, speed limits. They don't have
Don't,
anything. So
isn't it the Autobahn too? Can't you hop over there?
yeah,
And
but I think in the Autobahn is only by segments or whatever. It's not like the
oh,
whole
okay.
highway. Yeah. So
How big's
but
the
yeah,
island?
the Isle of Man is, I don't know, tiny, but I want to go there.
You're just
Why
gonna.
not?
Okay.
Why not?
Cool. I just dropped down the list of speakers in the chat so people can check that out.
Yeah,
Um,
it's sick.
it's
There's like
crazy, man.
20, 30 MVPs or something. It's huge.
Yeah, everybody's getting in there. It was crazy at the Portland event because we had people from Houston, Atlanta, Baltimore, and Toronto, I want to say. And so
Hmm.
I don't know what they're doing to attract across the country like that, but
Who
it was
was
really
there
good.
from Atlanta?
Um, I don't remember their name. Who
Oh,
was that?
okay.
Oh,
I
it's
know.
I know who it is. Let me look him up real quick. Um, I can see his face, but that doesn't help.
I know that maybe Stephen Smith. I don't know, but they here in Atlanta they have the
Chicago.
Power Tour coming in February, so I have to submit a session
Oh,
and
nice.
speak there, or at least I'll attend. At the very minimum, I'll try to be there. But I'm excited. It's coming to Atlanta, and a couple of MVPs reach out. He's like, I guess I'll see you, in your hometown in February. And I'm like, what? Why? What? Like, what event am I missing?
Yeah.
And it was the Power, Platform World Tour. So
Have you not submitted yet?
no, I
Oh,
I
come
think
on.
that the submissions end probably this week. So
Okay.
I have to do it soon because it's in February. So there's still a couple months to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't Atlanta. I think he's from Chicago, actually.
Okay.
Darian, I can't say his last name. Gunawardena. Anyways, he's F and O out of Chicago.
Okay.
I thought somebody was
Yeah,
out of
I
Atlanta.
I don't think I didn't hear anybody from Atlanta to go to Portland. I wanted to go, obviously. Been trying to get to Portland for a while, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's exciting.
And the other one
The
I got to meet was
local event.
Gaston Cruz from Uruguay. He recently moved. He's with the Power BI stuff. And he
Okay.
recently moved to Seattle with Slalom.
Oh,
And so it was kind of cool because
cool.
he was like 2 months on the job.
Hmm.
And they moved him up to Seattle, which was really cool. Um,
Nice.
so, but yeah,
Yeah,
just
no, I used to be. I'm glad Steven is in Atlanta because I used to be the only MVP in Atlanta, but now we have Steven. So there's two of us, which is great because if I can go to a CRMG meeting, he can be there, to answer questions and
nice.
stuff. And I really like that. I mean, I'm 100% focused on growing our local chapter, just like a lot of people are. You guys are chapter of the year in Seattle, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think that the Atlanta market is huge, but we don't get a whole lot of people going there. I don't know why that. Here we struggle locally with partners sending their customers there for some reason. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
and I'm sure in Seattle is the same. Everywhere's
yeah.
the same, right?
It's a frustration because I think there's so much value If I can
Right.
have my clients go somewhere and learn something, then
Yes.
the value that's being brought to them and the return on the investment from the investment is just so much higher. And yeah,
It's
anyways,
funny how every partner is pro customers going to CRMUG events except their customers. They don't want their customers to go, and
right.
so I never get that. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of local customers. My customer are kind of spread all over the country, but I totally
Yep.
encourage them to go to the local chapters and or come to the one in Atlanta if they want to. I think that the better, the more we can learn from each other. So
Yeah, exactly. And it was fun
yeah,
at the event because you'd see people helping each other, right? So the speaker would get stumped or whatever, and it would be somebody else. Oh, actually, I ran into this one last week. And so I
yeah,
think that's the huge thing. I mean, that's why it's the community, and that's why you don't do this alone, and you don't have to do this alone,
absolutely.
which is fantastic. So
Awesome. All right. Do we have any more questions or should we wrap up
I think we need a
for
wrap, man.
today?
Call
All
it a
right.
wrap, and connect. What you want to do another 2 weeks and give that a shot?
Absolutely.
So cool.
Let's do that.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you in 2 weeks.